Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are looking at Symmetric NAT in Cisco SD-WAN. So currently my devices are turned off, so our focus is going to be around this area where I have the MPLS node connecting to the provider CE, and I have my VH sitting over here. I'm doing NAT on the MikroTik. So I'm going to go ahead and power on the devices. And before I do that, I'm going to capture the packets in between. Okay, so let me just power it on. So first of all, I'm going to capture the packet between the CE and the P, and as well as the CE and the VH. So I'm going to actually pause the video and come back when the device is put up. So let me pause the video. Okay, so I think we are good to go. I'm going to pause the capture. And so this connection is from, or the packet that I'm trying to capture in this window is from the MikroTik router to the VH over here. So I'm capturing the packet over here. And then this one is between the provider's C and then the NDRP. So first of all, what I'm going to look for is, let's start from up because the device is just booted up. So between the VH and the MikroTik router, I'm going to look for up. And as you can see, 10.2, which is configured on the VH, was trying to look out and see if anybody is using that particular IP address, and it realized that nobody is using it. So now it looks for its gateway, and then it's able to identify its gateway over here. So let's go to the packet capture between the MikroTik and the provider P device, and as usual, we're going to have the same thing over here. 10.2 looking out. 10.2 is on the MikroTik, looking out to see who has 10.2, but then nobody is using 10.2. That's fine. So the next thing you're going to look out for is DNS. And as you can see from the VH all the way to the MikroTik, you realize that the communication is between 10.2, which is the source coming from the VH going to 10.0.0.5. And we all know that 10.0.0.5 is the DNS server. So we are going to get 2 entries for our DNS request. If we are to look down, we're going to see that the 10.2 was trying to query vbon.devnetengineer.org for the DNS entries, and then we got so this is just the response. Let me look out for the request. Let me look out for the response, and as you can see, we have 2 entries. Now the the MikroTik router over here is doing that. So whatever traffic is coming behind it, that's from the VH all the way to the provider edge router, which is R3, is going to be NATed. So the MikroTik router is doing all the NATs. So let me just pop up the screen. Then we check the configuration on it. Yes, so we're good. So let me just increase the font, admin. So admin, I think password is 1. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. So let's say IP firewall export. And as you can see, I'm NATing all these entries to this particular IP address. So in our next checks, you're going to see this IP address a lot, doing a lot of the translation from the MikroTik to the MPLS cloud. So let's search for the same thing DNS here, and you're going to see a different entry. And as you can see, the first request is coming from 10.64.64.1 to 10.0.0.5. And if you check the timestamp, you realize that they have the same timestamp over here. That's 8:57:50. That's the same thing that you have over here. Now, this is because from here, the V edge is just sending the packets, or let's say sending the packets with no nothing. But then the connection between the MikroTik and the R3, which is the provider edge, there's nothing over there. So the MikroTik router, as we checked over here, is going to NAT all traffic coming from this subnet, that is where the V edge is, to this particular address. So now as you can see, the NAT is working. So the communication is between from the V edge perspective is coming from 10.2, but then from the MikroTik's perspective and the SD-WAN fabric perspective is coming from 164.64.1. Now the next thing that we can search this protocol to look out for is ICMP, of course. And as you can see from the perspective of the VH, its source is the 10.2. If you have to look for the same thing over here, which is ICMP, we're going to see 64.64.1. And once again, look at the timestamps, which is 20:57:53 seconds and 20:57:53 seconds. So now you realize that beyond the MikroTik, we are doing translation to a NATed IP, but then behind the MikroTik, the V edge is using the 10.2. I don't know what else we can search for. Let's search for UDP so we can see some DTLS traffic. So yes, so we have it over here. So some DTLS traffic should be here. So this is between one of the V bonds and the 10.2, which is the V edge. If you have to look out for the same thing, UDP, I'm going to see the same thing over here. So we have communication from 002 to 164.64.1, which will in turn NAT it to the private IP address. So basically, looking at our topology that we have over here, I decided to include NAT so that there'll be to create a variation. Not always the case where we connect our V edges directly to our Ps, or let's say the provider's router. Sometimes you'd have to do NATing, sitting behind firewalls, one-to-one NATing, part, everything that is in regards to NAT can be configured within the SD-WAN fabric, just that they have some rules that you need to follow when you are implementing different various NATs in the SD-WAN fabric. Thank you for watching this video and see you in my next video.